every Tuesday.
That's the whole point of the training.
Okay, we have
Is that you train
director
we have
for our
authorized.
You
So that
know
there's
the issue.
Is it called regional director of the Bureau of Internal?
For the first timers, 888 News Forum was founded almost 13 years ago. Mag 13-year anniversary karong August 2019. This was founded by Consul General Bobby Joseph with a few media personalities in Cebu. That was almost 13 years ago. Our first guest is a Rotarian leader. He is in contact with our founder, Consul General Bobby Lim Joseph. May I call on Mr. Bobby Pacanya. Sir Bob? And to inform you, this today's 888 News Forum has a topic about the total cleanup of rivers and seas in Cebu, pattern to the Manila Bay cleanup spearheaded by Consul General Bobby Joseph, the successful Manila Bay cleanup. So that today, aside from Rotarian leaders, we invited officials from the Department of Interior and Local Government, the ILG, and the Department of Environment and Natural Resources, or DNR, especially EMB, Environmental Management Bureau. Now, our second guest is the Director of the Environmental Management Bureau, or EMB 7. Please help me welcome Director William Conyado. Our next guest is also from the Department of Environment and Natural Resources, DNR. Please help me welcome Mr. Eduardo Inting, the Assistant Regional Director for Technical Services of DNR 7. And our fourth guest is the Director of the Department of Interior and Local Government. Please help me welcome Director Attorney Leocadio Trovela. Sir. Our next guest is from the Department of Tourism. She is the Chief Operations Officer. Please help me welcome Ma'am Helena Asis Dimpas. Ma'am Dimpas. Okay. There, ma'am. And our last guest to sit in the presidential table is a priest and also a Rotarian. Please help me welcome Father Morphy Sarsunas, the Chairman of the Cebu Archdiocesan Commission on Environmental Concern. And before we start, doon nami i-launch karong buntaga. No. I-launch na mo ang 888 magazine. No. For the first time in 13 years, among i-launch ang 888 magazine. And hopefully, kung mo-successful ni, among himuoning twice a year or 4 times a year. But this time, launching pa lang ni, I may request MS Pina and Baby Bakero to come forward, and our founder, Consul General Bobby Joseph, and may I request Father Morphy to bless us in the launching.
In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Our Father in heaven, we bring before you all who work within 888 News Magazine. We ask you for your blessing. Grant them wisdom and discernment. May they all be sensitive to the needs of our communities and to be mindful of the values which we all cherish. use their words, stories, and pictures to touch the minds and hearts of our people, to be mindful of what we cherish, the truth, hope, and justice. May they bring healing and hope. All this we ask through Christ our Lord. Together, our Father in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into heaven, but deliver us from evil. Amen. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Thank you, Father. Okay, dito maglangan, we will get the opening statement of our guest, starting from Sir Bobby Pagkana. Sir.
Good morning, everyone. Upon the inspiration and instance of our dear friend, a fellow Rotarian, he is a director of the Rotary Club of Manila and a businessman, philanthropist, and he's also the person behind the massive rehabilitation and cleanup of the Manila Bay, and he's also Commodore of the Manila Yacht Club. May I now call on Mr. Bobby Joseph. Kindly acknowledge Mr. Bobby. Because of this man, he has been inspiring us. By the way, he is being a fellow Rotarian. He has been appointed as a special advisor of the Rotary Club of Metro Cebu, of which I belong, the foundation of the Rotary Club of Metro Cebu. And for that, we are trying to initiate, following the cue of what they have done in Manila Bay, to possibly engage, inspire, and embrace all the other stakeholders in the Cebu landscape. That is from engaging the departments of the government, like the Department of Environment and Natural Resources, Department of Interior and Local Government, and the Department of Tourism. So one day, very soon, perhaps sometime July, we can agree on something wherein we will have another launch, engaging all the other players, even the Philippine Coast Guard Auxiliary. We have invited to them here in Cebu, and the Maritime Students Association in Cebu. They're willing to extend help and support. And we are thinking of inviting possibly the teachers and some students through the Department of Education. For this, we're truly grateful for having been able to convince, to gather here, the officers and directors of the different government bodies. And more so, we are also grateful that the church, the Catholic Church, is supporting us. I had a talk with Archbishop Palma last Friday, and thank God the church is represented here by no less the head of the Cebu Archdiocesan Commission on Environmental Concern. So I now thank everyone again to be here and for this opportunity, Sir Eli.
Thank you, Sir Bob. I love Rotary because I've served Rotary International District 3860 for, I think, 5 years. After I became president of Rotary Club Cebu East, of which Raul Del Mar is our charter president, and our members including Alex Gaisano. I became assistant governor twice, and I was DGRPRM, District Governor's Representative for the Philippine Rotary Magazine. And then I was the Deputy District Governor for Public Relation and Deputy District Governor for Public Image. So I served the district for 5 years. Okay, arita ni Director William Conyado of AMB7. Director?
May buntag kaninyong tanan. Would like also to thank ni Eli for these invitations. Nagpasalamat sa ko sa atong District 3860 Rotary Club, Metro Cebu chapter for initiating this forum. And this will help us in terms of preserving and improving our environment, especially in Mactan Channel. We understand that there is a lot of source of pollution in Mactan Channel, and this will be the one contributory in terms of the pollution in Mactan Channel. Considering that we have a lot of resources in terms of the pollutions, there are a lot of pollutants coming from the commercial, industrials, and domestic. So if we with the help of this group, I believe that we can have attained this to rehabilitate this area. If we can make this as one of the big challenge for us with the joint effort of the Rotary Club in Metro Cebu, and we can manifest that when we have a very clean Mactan Channel. So that is our objective. I hope that we can do this as early as possible, because this is the one of the priority projects of Secretary. I believe there is a group from Manila B who are also very successful in doing it. So if they can do it in Manila B, why not in Metro Cebu, especially in Mactan Channel, to rehabilitate our Mactan Channel. So with that, I would like to congratulate our Rotary Club in Metro Cebu chapter for initiating, and not only for initiating this forum, but we will have to implement it, what we have agreed here in this forum. Thank you very much, and maimbutag kaniyang tanan.
Thank you, Sir William. There are about 95 Rotary clubs in District 360 and about 25 Rotary clubs in Cebu. Okay, arita sa opening statement ni ERD Eduardo Inting.
Thank you very much, Eli Baquero. In behalf of Red Gilbert Gonzalez, who has previous commitments, he has sent me to represent him, and we would like to thank 888 News Forum for inviting us to attend this forum so that we can clarify issues. No, I'm sure you have so many issues bugging you, and I think this is now the right time for us to clarify this, especially if it relates to the management of the environment. Let me assure you that your DNR is working very hard to conserve, protect, and effectively manage your environment, our environment, for that matter. No? So again, in behalf of Red Gonzalez, we'd like to thank 888 for this opportunity to clarify issues if you may have. Thank you.
Thank you, Sir Ed. Karon arita ni Director Attorney Leocadio Trovilla from DILG.
Good morning, and thank you for this opportunity for inviting the DILG on this forum. Often we would like to congratulate the Rotarians of Metro Cebu and the 888 Forum for initiating this forum. This kind of advocacy to heal our environment is really challenging. In fact, we've been talking this concern for several years now, but the present administration is really bent on relentless at that on protecting the environment. We have shown that concern and our political will in Boracay, and then we're showing that in Manila Bay, and then we're showing, in fact, in Region 7, the collaboration among us, among DNR, the OT, and the private sectors and the church are evident in our efforts to, in some ways, rehabilitate, to heal the environment of Panglao, and then we're looking at the concerns in Boal, that sort of thing. And then even Badjan, no? We have started our conversations and action planning, and then our efforts in Badian. So, the engagement or the participation of the private sector is really important in this concern. And then in that regard, we would like to congratulate the Rotarians for initiating this activity. Without the support of the private sector and the church and the community, the government alone cannot address these gargantuan problems about environment. So, and then iba kasi pag na-involve ang private sector, hindi basta talk and talk. You need action. Minsan natatakot din kami sa gobyerno dyan. Sinisingil nyo kami. Hindi dapat parating nag-uusapan. Kailangan nating, kumaga, we need action. So with Rotarians around, I think, mag-move itong ating advocacy sa Metro Cebu. Congratulations and good morning. Good morning.
And now we hear sa opening statement ni Ma'am Helena Dimpas of the Department of Tourism.
Mayong buntag sa tanan. We are happy to be a part of this. No, to me, this is a long overdue gathering, and as an environmental advocate for quite some time now, even before I joined DOT, this is a welcomed news. No, I was once a local coordinator for Greenpeace, and we have had so many campaigns to protect the environment. And I also co-founded an NGO called Speleo Cebu. It focused on cave systems, ecosystems, part of which is the mapping and documentation of our cave systems in the island to protect our water. So this is a welcome news to us. For tourism, the campaign to protect the environment is at its height. No less than the regional director, from the regional director Shalimar Hofer Tamano, he gave us specific instructions to encourage, entice, do everything that's possible under the sun to convince our tourism stakeholders to observe easement zones, and be compliant to environmental requirements. So part of which we have already implemented for accreditation, DOT accreditation. Part of the requirements are our certificates, environmental compliance certificates. So these are part of our our initiatives to support the protection of our natural environment. And with the Rotarians on board this time, I think there is no other way but up.
Thank you, Ma'am Helena. Karon pamation na to si Father Murphy Sarsunas, ang chairman sa Cebu Archdiocese Environmental Concerns.
Good morning to everyone. As a person, I really love the ocean. And for so many years, I was, and I'm still doing it, protecting and conserving and rehabilitating the marine ecosystem. I co-founded a group, an NGO. We call ourselves Night Stewards of the Sea, also known as Sea Knights. And we partner with LGUs, especially in Talisay. Every week, we search for ghost nets in order to revive all corals entangled, and we need to address food security in order to supply the needs of our people. And I was assigned in Boal long time ago, and it was a very memorable experience because lo and behold, one of my pictures landed in the airport. The one with the School of Sardines, the scuba diver, ako na siya. But sad to say, ngawa na ron dito, kay nag-expansion naman. No, hopefully they will revive it, no? So when I see myself in it, I wish that I will be able to have a active hand in preserving the environment, because right now I am a fish out of the sea, because the Archbishop called me, you work here. There's much work in the land or in the terrestrial and also in the ocean as well. So as a commission head of the Archdiocese, using the inspiration of Laudato Si, the second letter of our Holy Pope Francis, inviting all people of all ideologies, of all religion, we need to unite and we need to collaborate in caring for a common home, because it calls for a common action. So now, the church is now one with you in saving Mactan Channel. The race is on. And also, as a church in our country, next week, we need your prayers. 100 dioceses all over the country will come together in Lay Force San Carlos Seminary, finding ways and finding solutions as a church in order to address climate change. According to IPCC, we have only 12 years left before reaching the breaking point. So we need to work now. Let us not waste time, because time is so precious. So this is one collaboration that we all need to put our hearts and minds into it. Thank you for this invitation.
Okay, thank you, Father Murphy. At this point of time, may we hear from Consul General Bobby Joseph how he spearheaded Manila Bay cleanup and anong gusto niya mangyari dito sa Cebu?
Good morning. First of all, I'm so grateful that all of you are here, and you keep me more inspired to continue the cleanup of the country. First of all, I would like to thank Secretary Roy Simatu for really being, he is my answered prayers, as I told him. Then comes Secretary Anyo, a person who is not a no-nonsense person, straightforward and full of action, with high integrity, who is here to enforce and support the moves made by the DNR. In Cebu today is alarming. Cebu, the province that I love, and I see the degradation that is going on. We don't have any, Cebu has less than 50% has septic tanks and no sewerage treatment plant. This is very, very alarming. Imagine 4 million people will just poo every day. That means 4 million pounds of shit. Puwera pa yung nag-LBM, mas marami pa yun. So, Mactan has to be addressed, especially those who are living in that area. They should be moved out and placed somewhere. And immediately we have to put up a sewage treatment plant with so many toilets so that they can use. This, we believe, the Rotary movement can do in working with government. But the DNR should come out with a survey or tell who among, if the sewage treatment plant made by Ayala, is it enough with these buildings coming up, enormous buildings coming up? There should be an assessment. Then they would collaborate with the DILG so that we would have a educational program with on the barangay level, meaning segregation of waste. This is nothing new. They know this. It is the law, the Clean Water Act, but no one is implementing. So we need the ILG to inform them immediately. Then after 1 or 2 weeks or 3 weeks, we have to regroup in 888 in July, probably the 3rd week of July, and see the assessment so that we will now take a plan of action, not strategic planning, a plan of action. So we will be moving and looking at this project for the next 3 years. So with this, we will also want to invite the water works, because I've heard there was a grant of over $1 billion or so, and where it is to put up the sewage treatment plant. We need also those the companies who have sewage treatment businesses to come and give the proposal for the accreditation with the DNR, including the proper price points so that this could be recommended to the building owners, the commercial owners. And that the immediate setting up of a sewage treatment plant in the city, because it has been chaotic as far as the environment is concerned. Imagine, out of the 7 million tourists, half of that comes to Cebu. Now, will we wait? And then so many hotels and condominiums are coming up, resorts are coming up. Now, if the coliform will rise, there should be also from the DNR to immediately check the outflows of Mactan and what is the coliform level. That can be done in a few days. And we might be shocked. It is not only the need of water, but the dirty water has to be handled. This is a gargantuan thing, and I appeal to the media to bring these issues. And I thank really all of you and the people who are here with you, because we know that this thing that has been started by Secretary Samato should continue. And you know, if you get the 13 government agencies to work with us, the DPWH, everybody, as General Samato says, when I asked him, sir, there is the pledge of 42 or 43 billion by the President. You know what he told me? I said, how much will you be spending for this? He says, we won't touch it. What? The DNR has money. The DILG has money. The DPWH has money. They have all this equipment. So, we will just use it. Galing talaga ni Secretary Simato. And magaling din lahat kayo. Mabuhay. Because today, it is not Bobby Joseph, it is not Bobby Pacarna who are leaders. This movement is a bayanihan project. Ang bayan at bayani. Ang Bay ng Cebu at Bang Bayani ay lahat tayo, kasama lahat ang pare na makikita natin na lilinis ang buong probinsyang Cebu at sana pagkatapos ang buong region. Maraming salamat.
Thank you, Consul General Bobby Joseph, sir. Okay, questions from the audience? Or may I ask Director William Conyado how you will answer the question of Sir Bobby Joseph about wastewater treatment plant in Cebu. Do we have enough wastewater treatment plant?
Thank you very much for that question, Eli. And thank you very much for that guidance kung observations in terms of what is the existing wastewater treatment facilities in Cebu and Metro Cebu. Sa tinud-anay lang, we don't have an efficient wastewater treatment facilities in Metro Cebu. With in fact, there is a project of JICA. Hopefully, they will establish about 15 septic tank STP plant that will be in place in different areas of Metro Cebu to address this issue. We have an existing one in Lapu-Lapu, that is an Enviro Consult, with a capacity of 150 cubic meters per day. But if you have to make an inventory, the volume of wastewater, of the water used by the Metro Cebu is too big compared to the existing wastewater treatment facilities na to nga efficient. There are other facilities that is run by the private sectors, for example, in Ayala. So all their wastewater will be treated in their existing wastewater treatment facilities. That's about 10,000 cubic meters per day. So far, at this point in time, their existing volume of wastewater sa ilahang existing wastewater still can accommodate and release a good quality of wastewater, effluent wastewater. The point there is that when we have an passing effluent of water, and if you have to discharge that to the body of water na polluted, Ayala is wasting money. But in fact, we have an experience, a good experience with Ayala. When they asked me to release their discharge permit for their wastewater, I said, I have to hold your wastewater permit. Then they sent us in our office about 6 legal officers and questioned me why you are not going to release our discharge permit. So I gave them a reason. So I asked them, how many cubic meters are you treating your wastewater treatment facilities? That's about 10,000. And of course, you have to discharge 10,000 cubic meters clean water. Agree? So yes. Imagine you are discharging clean water to the polluted river systems. When I have to give them a computations, how much the cost of the water bill from MCW per cubic meters? That's about 40 pesos per cubic meter. And how much the cost of your treatment? Probably they said about 10 pesos per cubic meter for the treatment of their wastewater. So there's a difference of 40 and 10. It's about 30 pesos per cubic meter. If you have to recycle that back to the system, back to your area, and use that for flushing, for watering of the plants, not for drinking, of course, not for drinking. So you can use this 30 or about 10,000 cubic meters of water. And how much savings if you have to recycle that? So if the price is, you have a savings of 30,000, 30 pesos times 10,000, that's about 300,000 per day. And if you have to multiply by 30 days, that's about 9 million. If you have to multiply that for 12 months a year, that's about 120 million pesos that you are throwing it to the river systems, the polluted one. And you are looking for money. This is money, not also compromising our environment. So they said, yes, sir. But we cannot make a commitment to you that we have to put this because we have to put on big investments for that. I understand you have to put an investment for that. But take a look, you have a savings of almost more than 100 millions a day. How much the cost of your putting these facilities? Maybe you will cost 50 million and you can recover that within a year. At the same time, you are helping us in terms of water resources. That is a process of sustaining our water resources. Instead of extracting water from our aquifer, we have to use this recycled water with a very clean water that is passing the standards. And that's the way that we have to sustain our commerce in terms of industries, in terms of uses of water resources. I think that's the best way of managing our water, our wastewater. So, because that is a technical conference, I asked them how much time that you can sign this commitment that you have to put up a recycling facilities within the complex of the Ayala. And the lawyers asked me, give us 30 days because we have to convince the group, the board of directors of Ayala, to put up these recycling facilities. Surprisingly, they came back after 1 week. So I asked them, what is your visit? What do you want? Siya, sir, ikasabaan mi sa mga board of directors. Nganong karon lang mi nakahuna-huna ini. Kaya that we are losing millions a year and we are looking for money. So, the top management signed immediately the commitment that you have to put up our recycling facilities. And imagine, if this big company is doing this, how much more if we have all these medium and small scale industries that you have to put up recycling facilities. This is a big savings in terms of our resources. This is also a very profitable way of handling our resources, the wise way of managing our water. And we are looking for water. Remember, our source of water is coming already in Carmen because we have insufficient water supply. But we are throwing our water. At the same time, I asked also all the companies, especially the MIPS 1, MIPS 2, to put up their what we call cistern. Imagine, we almost covered the surface of the land and we can collect all this rainwater. And rainwater is considered a distilled water. And you know what is distilled water? That's very clean water. And if you have to collect it in a clean container in a cistern form, then you can have a big volume of water. Instead, if you have to imagine the situation here, when we have a big rain, heavy rain, we have a flooding. And if this water from rain, if we have to put a cistern and collect all this, we can address the flooding issue. We can address the source of water. And we have a very clean water. The present situation now is we are not doing that. That's why we will be the one to suffer with inefficient way of handling our water resources. A good example in Lapu-Lapu, one time when we have a talk with one of the big company in Lapu-Lapu, they said to me, we have invested a cistern tank about 20 million. So that's a big investment for us. But don't you know what is the ROI for that facilities? They said we have an ROI of that facilities within 9 months period. Because the cost of water in Lapu-Lapu is more expensive than in Metro Cebu. Probably if Cebu is 40, probably they are using it at 50 to 60 pesos per cubic. Napayuban gani, misaka pag 70. It depends on the demand. And that's why they have to put up a desalination plant to have a wastewater. That is the manifestation that we have insufficient supply of water when we have to put up a desalination plant. But if we have a sufficient water supply, then we will have a problem of putting all these state-of-the-art treatment facilities. And we have received a lot of complaint, in particular in the resorts, that we cannot put up a wastewater treatment facilities for our small resorts with about 10 to 20 rooms to 50 rooms because it's too expensive to put up wastewater treatment facilities. With that statement, I am challenged to make an innovations in our office and try to make a costing how much the cost of putting wastewater treatment facilities for a certain building. I am very proud to see that only AMB Region 7 has a wastewater treatment facilities for our septic waste. And don't you know how much the cost for us to put up that facilities? That's only 150,000. And we have a very good effluent, a clean effluent passing our old and new parameters. So when we have a forum, they present to me, sir, that's very expensive. We have a lot of suppliers. They give us 1 million, 5 million, 10 million to put up these facilities. I said, no, you can put up a wastewater treatment facilities with a very low cost without compromising the quality of our wastewater. And how can we can do it? And how can you cannot do it for that? So with that, I invite a lot of resource owner to visit our office to see these existing facilities that could be replicated in their operations. So the problem here, mostly for our wastewater treatment facilities, usually for the private one, they have their wastewater treatment facilities. What is really the problem is how to maintain. That's really the problem. Because the maintenance of the wastewater treatment facilities is very variable. At any given time, that will have a different wastewater quality. In the morning, probably you have a very high volume because a lot of people are taking the bath, using their toilets. So with this, there is an increased immediate volume of wastewater. And when your wastewater has a high volume of water, your wastewater treatment facilities will dramatically have a trouble in terms of handling this type of volume. So that is the situation that sometimes when you have to get a sample at that time, I'm sure that your wastewater treatment facilities fail the standards. But if you have a proper way of handling it and handle it, we have an chlorination, we have an stabilization pan that will regulate the feeding of your wastewater treatment facilities. That's the time that you will have a very good operations of your wastewater treatment facilities. One time I surprised in one of the resorts in Bohol, Panglao. When I visited, he has a three chamber of septic tank. So when I get a sample of their third chamber, I surprised that the water is very clear. So I surprised with that. So with that existing, I believe it's a matter of implementations on how to put up a wastewater treatment facilities with a low cost, and everybody will have the benefits by maintaining it operationally very well.
Thank you so
Thank
much,
you.
sir. My concern is we hope we could get our TV group to go to your office and get the actual making of a sewerage treatment plant. Second is we would like the DNR to immediately serve notice to all establishments of what and to follow the law of the DNR in handling waste treatment. If there is a series and the education that if we can get it for 150 to 200,000 or even more because it needs a bigger volume. This can help a lot of people, but the implementation of the law cannot be soft anymore. The degradation is something that this is already a huge warning. What is the coliform level of all outflows? From there, we have to work. We have to come and decide once and for all. And a collaboration also with the local government. That's why we have to make a timeline by the 3rd week of July. So that would be something that we will try to implement. The video, the tapes here, the video will be sent to DILG, to DENR in Manila. This actual video. And there will be a collaboration to see what is happening to save the waters of Cebu and to make it sustainable. So we have been too soft with making buildings just come up without any requirements. We want to find out really if the plant of Ayala is sufficient or not. Those are the most important things. And what actions we can take. What fees will we charge the local government? And as far as the local government, local government, where we leave it to the DILG to see to it that they have to implement what should have been implemented long time ago. Thank you.
Thank you. Any short reaction, Director William?
Thank you very much for that comment, Sir Bob. Actually, we have already sent a notice of violation, not only a notice of violation for a lot of resources here. Because we have to observe the what we call an protocol. We always have sent about 2 to 3 times notice of violation. After these 2 to 3 times notice of violations, if there is no still actions of the concerned resource, we have to send an order. In fact, we already sent about 60 establishment for the order, especially in Bohol. So we have already make an order for them to comply, to stop the discharge. At the same time, you have to put up a wastewater treatment facility. So in line with your comments, sir, we are doing it already. In fact, we have already organized a clusters. We have here our director of the ILG. We have a meeting almost every month to gather all this information and collaborations, not only the ILG, DOT, LGU in Panglao, to sum up everything what is needed in terms of to correct these problems of the wastewater. So we have done this already. Probably we are already in 75% movement and requirements all these resources to comply. At the same time, there is also requirements to comply in terms of the easement. So we are collaborating all the concerned government offices to lead all these resources, all the establishment to comply. And at the end of the day, we have ultimatum orders for them to comply and then impose a penalty for their violation for discharging excessive effluent.
Thank you, Director
Thank you
William.
very much.
Question from Sir Lambert.
Good afternoon. I have actually an actual experience. I have quite a large piece of land in Walboal. You know, Walboal is, I first went to Walboal about almost 30 years ago and found it like a paradise. So I bought a piece of land in Basdaco, beautiful piece of land. But due to my neglect, somebody went there and built rooms there. I don't even know how there's no permit from the local government, no obo, nothing, but they built the rooms there right on the sand, right? No water treatment. The land is still under our name. We wrote to the local government, nothing happened. Then we wrote to about a few months ago, my lawyer wrote to the DNR about the fact that these rooms were all on the sand and there's no water treatment. So the DNR sent letters to the owner of the squatter, the one who's squatting on my land. And incidentally, the legal case to eject him has taken 10 years now. Until now, we just won in the RTC. It's going to go to the Court of Appeals and finally to the Supreme Court. It's going to be a long process now. Now, so when the DNR sent notice to that operator, he refused to accept the letter. So it's like as though no letter has been sent. So we asked the DNR, why? How are you going to proceed with this thing, Because the operator refused to accept the letter. Oh, they say, okay, we will just wait for some time, we'll send another letter. But knowing them, the second letter they will also refuse to accept, So my question is, how is the DNR or the DILG going to implement the laws when you get people like that who completely don't care about your authority, all that? Can you please enlighten us on this?
Okay.
Thank you. That is so similar with Boracay before, no? When to ensure compliance in order to ensure compliance, we have to, it's not just the DNR and then the DLG working together, when in fact it should be among us three and with the DOT. So DNR, DOT, and then the ILG, and then the local government unit to ensure compliance of that particular establishment. In the case of Mualboal, what we're going to do is to find out with the local government unit of Mualboal of why up to this time, despite the order of the notice from the DNR that they are still operating. In fact, the local government units are tasked to issue permits, and so and the business permits and all, and then clearances. Often, that's the initial action that we are going to do insofar as Mualboal is concerned. What particular actions did the Mualboal local government unit did to your problem? And then maybe there's may court, siguro constraint sila ng court kaya ganon, pero tingnan ko lang po yung kompletong detalye. Pero let me assure you that we will look into that, and then we will put to task the local government unit, the Mualboal LGU, and then the barangay kung bakit nagkaroon yung ganong problema.
Okay, as director of the ALG7, Director Leo Trovela is working hand in hand with the local government units, the Philippine National Police, even the BGMP and the NAPOLCOM. Okay? How about the answer of Director Ed Inting? What can DNR 7 do with the problem of Mr. Lambert?
Yeah, thank you for that question. Let us trace this back to PD 1067, the Water Code of the Philippines, where it requires that easements on urban areas should be 3 meters, on areas classified as agricultural should be 20 meters, and on areas adjacent to forest lands, 40 meters. In the case of Mualboal, I think what would apply in there is the 20-meter easement zone. When we say easement, they should be free from any form. There should be no structure within these areas. The role of DNR as far as PD 1067 is concerned is just to determine and measure the easement zone from the highest tide landward. And next to that is that we will be sending notice of violation to the concerned resort owners, telling them that they have they're not compliant with the requirements of the law. As far as the demolition of all the structures, I believe it will now be under the authority of the local government unit, based on the fact that it was the mayor who issued the building permit, no? Or business permit. So if you may give me time to relate what have been done in Panglao, in Lapu-Lapu. In Panglao, we have had, of course, the ILG, DOT is part of the team assessing the compliance of all the resort owners. And as of today, we have had 15 establishments complying voluntarily, demolishing their structures. There is a request now of another group to temporarily or to allow them to retain the riprap, and they might consider demolishing the structures that has encroached into the easement zone. But the riprap, they want it retained because now is this time it's called ano yung habagat? Is it southwest monsoon? No? And accordingly, the movement of the waves will bring the sand to other areas. So if only to prevent that from happening, they will suspend the demolition of the riprap, but continue the structures within the 20 meters zone to be demolished. No? And in fact, there will be another meeting on June 25 to discuss with the mayor and all other stakeholders what has been done, what needs to be done. So there is quite cooperation from among the different agencies involved, the ILG, DOT, LGU. As far as Mactan is concerned, we already have a technical conference with 16 resort owners.
In Mactan?
18, no?
18 in Mactan.
Yeah. Particularly in the barangay of Marigondon.
Ah.
And there are now plans how to go about complying with the requirements of the law. And several meetings will come in. Of course, EMB will be part of it because EMB will be looking into the compliance as far as effluence, no, is concerned. In Walbual, we have started measuring, no, the easement. As I said, we have already issued the notice of violation. What others? In Santa Fe, Bantayan,
So, sir, the notice of violations issued to 18 firms at Marigondon are already answered or not yet?
The reason for that is just to inform them that they had violated and they have encroached on the easement zone. And this will be followed by several technical conferences to inform them and perhaps request them to come up with how to go about demolishing the structures. So on the part,
ang ilang violation is encroachment sa
on the 20 meters zone.
dagat.
Yeah, Mactan pala is only 3 meter because it's urban. Okay, so I think
Okay,
RB William can continue as far as the compliance of the effluent.
Ako sang pareakon si Kwan, si Ma'am Helena Asis Dimpas. In reaction, ma'am, sa environmental concerns ng ilang gisgutan, ini act from Department of Tourism to maintain the environment that could attract tourists in Cebu. Do you have any collaboration with other agencies to maintain the healthy or clean environment to attract tourists?
Yes, we have actually several, no? Prior to the violation pa, there is the setting of carrying capacity. Yes, so that is what we are working with NEDA right now, with the Conservation and Development Division of DENR, no, because we have a joint memorandum for DOT and DENR to establish ecotourism sites. So kani pa lang, even before the actual violations or the emission of pollutions, nanatay mga pamaagi or measures to protect the environment. Okay, and in reference to the katong mga illegal structures and observation of easement zones, we have been working with DILG and DENR, no, because we have strict orders from the Office of the Secretary to see it through. Yes, and so we have been doing that in Panglao, no, especially in May 20, we had a deadline, no, last May 27. So we did an ocular inspection and talked to tourism stakeholders, and many of them have voluntarily demolished structures that have encroached to the easement zones. So we are right now we are kanang working, no, in this line, along this line.
Okay, Sir Bobby.
Sorry to interject. We're talking Mualbual. There is an encroachment. What do we do? Do they have an accreditation? These facilities? Is it true that one of the facilities there that encroached is also the mayor? And that's why everybody followed? Dito dapat wala ng study, wala nang usapan, wala mangyayari dyan. Dapat dito, implementation. Do they have existing accreditation? What if they don't have any accreditation? Or what's the next move? Is there the DILG to come and implement because of the violation by warning the mayor, the barangay? How many days would it take? Do we use the DPWH? If they don't do it in a certain period of time, the DPWH crew will come in, so on and so forth. And then we need publicity that will come out because we want to see action taken. Meetings and meetings, everybody is having meetings and meetings. But the implementation is not happening. Thank you.
Introduction, Director Trovilla.
Thank you. Thank you for the emphasis on action, sir. Thank you po. What we did in Panglao for as by way of an info on what strategy what we did in Panglao, I think that we can do that also in Walbol to certain extent. What we did in Panglao is that we created a task force. We called it inspection team. The LGU inspection team consists of the department heads, with the mayors as the head, the Sanggunian, etc., with technical support from national government agencies like the ILG, the OT, the NR, EMB, etc. They did, as you mentioned a while ago on the assessment, they did an assessment, initial assessment, based on the findings of the DNR insofar as the easement on the easement zone. And then the audit team, the inspection team, do their things regularly. They do that with the support from the national government agencies like us. And then magkaroon ng notices, etc. Ang ginawa doon, self-demolition ho muna. We let them do self-demolition and then they comply. They comply naman. Actually nagko-comply sila. And then, kaya nga ang mga 75% na almost ang compliance. So, ang gagawin natin sa Mualbual, parang ganun din po. That's what we're going to do in Mualbual. We will create the team, inspection team, if you may call it, similar with Panglao. with the mayor, kasi as I mentioned a while ago, we are going to put to task the mayor this time, na we are serious. The mayor, we are serious with the local Sangguniang. We are serious in efforts to address that particular concern. And then that team will be guided accordingly by the national government agencies na mayroong technical assistance and mandate. Kasi ang local government units kasi gusto nila naman talaga nilang mag-perform, except that minsan natatakot kasi sila baka ma-ombudsman, alam nyo na, ma-court. Kasi yun ang ano nila, baka hindi nila alam. Capacity-wise, the national government agency, responsible kami na kailangan capacitated sila. So, meaning that team will be capacitated, guided technically by the national government agencies para hindi sila makasuhan, and then para mabilis yung ating pong action, yung proseso. Kasi medyo may konting may konting legal implications in a way. So, but let me assure you, kasi nga with DOT, with RD, DOT, and then DNR, talagang tututukan namin din po ang buwal-buwal. Kasi nga nalulungkot kami doon sa nangyayari sa buwal-buwal. And then sayang siya. So ganun po. Ganun ang similar with kung kailangan yung in extreme cases kasi kailangan i-close talaga siya. I-close kung ayaw niya mag-self-demolish, kailangan i-close siya. I-close, may closure order, etc. And then kung kailangan ng assistance ng PNP, kasi ginawa naman yan sa Boracay. Ginawa naman yan sa Boracay with the secretary no less na nagbigay ng order, and then with the assistance of the PNP. Although we will not resort to that kung hanggat maaari na kailangan yung mga resort owners mag-voluntarily demolish or mag-comply. Pero kung talaga hindi magko-comply, magre-resort tayo sa ganung klaseng measures.
Okay, arita sa atong parting words, starting from Sir Bob Pagana.
Again, thank you for those who took the time and effort, the energy to be here today. From here on, we pray and we really look forward to the day that we can actualize all that we have envisioned. What is clearly needed here is the drive, the forthright consistency on our part. Then once we say we have to do it, just like a good soldier. So we look forward that other sectors of our community will support our advocacy and action plan, Protect Cebu. Thank you.
Okay, arita ni Director William Cunyado sa AMB7.
Thank you very much sa tanan nga dinhi for giving their time and their love. I love you all. I hope we have to use this energy to have more love to our environment. When we have a great love, we will have a very clean environment. So we have to use the positive energy to put our environment a very clean environment. Daghang kayong salamat for that.
Okay, arita ni Assistant Regional Director Ed Inting
Thank
sa
you.
DNR 7.
Thank you very much. In behalf of Red Gilbert Gonzalez, we would like to thank 888 News for allowing us to expound and explain the reasons why we are having these problems on the environment. But let me remind you that the caring for the environment is everybody's concern. Let's just not blame anybody, but on ourselves, do it. No, let's take care of the environment on our own. Imagine if one of us here will just be bringing one plastic bottle. How many bottles will we have a hard time disposing it? No. So instead of using plastic bottles, you use glasses na lang. When I came in, I had to look at the catering to see for myself if there is plastic kanang sa sachets. Because I sponsored in the NEDA a resolution banning the use of plastic cups in conferences such as this. So again, I am throwing back to you. Do your part. Let's care for the environment. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Arita ni Father Morphy Sarsunas, ang chairman sa Cebu Archdiocese Environmental Concern.
For the success of our dream to have a clean and green Cebu, this is a movement for us to be together in environmental awareness is very much necessary. So the church on its side, doing its part by giving in all parishes ecological spirituality awareness seminar. So there is spirituality behind our efforts in protecting and conserving the environment. So without spirituality in place, it will not sustain. So we need to have an awareness, a higher level of awareness wherein we are all called to become responsible stewards. This is the effort of the church for all Cebuanos to have a brighter future for all Cebuanos and for all Filipinos as well. So we need to collaborate, we need to work together, and we need to pray together in order for all our plans from different agencies, we can synergize and let us not quarrel. So we need to partner and we need to collaborate as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Father. Arita ni Ma'am Helena Asis Dimpas, Chief Operations Officer of the Department of Tourism.
Tourism has always been dependent on the quality of our natural resources. So which means that the quality of our natural environment or the quality of the experience of the visitors depend on the quality of our environment. So we are in this 100%, and we hope that we are all in this together 100%. So there is so much to do but so little time.
Okay, thank you, Ma'am Helena. Arita ni Director Leo Trovilla of the Department of Interior and Local Government 7.
Thank you so much to Rotary District, Rotarians of Cebu, and to 888 for reminding us in government, the DILG, the OT, the NR, and of course every one of us, for reminding us to take care of our environment, and then to remind us about the value of cooperating and collaboration, and of course the value of taking action. Words have been spoken, our intentions have been conveyed in this forum. Is now the challenge is, if I may say, in behalf of the DILG7, the challenge has been accepted. We will, as your partners and as a fellow advocates in healing the environment, we will, as far as our mandate is concerned, we will cooperate and we will see to it that our local government units in Cebu will cooperate accordingly. Thank you so much for this opportunity, and congratulations.
Thank you, Director Leo Trovilla, and that ends our edition for today's 888 News Forum. Thank you for coming. Praise God.